I particularly want to stop and discuss the word reform. What two parts is the word reform made up of? What two parts is it made up of, Frankie? Re and? Okay. Who can help me out with the first part of it, re? What does re mean? When we say re something, what does it mean, Max?
To do it again.
To do it again. So re means to do again. Form, what does form mean? Right.
Like to put together or like mash it up and mix it up.
To put something together, okay? Anybody want to add to that? B?
So like build something.
To build, to put together,
Like shape.
to shape something. So what would to reform mean? What is it? To remake something or reshape it or rebuild it, okay? So we're going to be studying an era, time period, where there were movements going on of people who wanted to reshape or rebuild the way society is. It's a little different than a revolution or a revolt. They're not saying we want to scrap everything and start over again, but we definitely want to reshape the way society is working right now. So I'm going to go ahead and read. I'd like you to be following along. In 1851, so 1851, kind of put that in context. How big is the U.S. by 1851?
Big.
Like half
Big. It's almost done its expansion, right? It's pretty much the end of its expansion. It's now the whole continent there. 1851, we're now 60 or 70 years past the Constitutional Convention. Have we made it to the Civil War yet?
No.
Okay, we're not at the Civil War yet, but we're starting to get close. We're only about a decade or so away from the time when things really start to heat up for the Civil War. So we're in 1851. A group of people gathered in a church to discuss the rights of women. A tall African-American woman made her way through the crowd and sat down. Her name was Sojourner Truth. Isn't that a gorgeous name?
Yes.
Sojourner Truth. Back when she was a slave, she had learned to pay careful attention to white people. Now she listened as whites discussed whether women should have the same rights as men. So all those things that you just identified, the same rights in terms of jobs and education and the right to vote. Berkeley, are you following along? Thanks. Sojourner heard one minister after another explain that women didn't need more rights because they weren't smart or strong enough to do much besides raise children. Yeah. Women, they argued, needed help from men. One man summed it up by saying, women are weak. Would you skip ahead in your book about 4 or 5 pages to page 246 and take a look, please, at the picture on page 246. I want you to have a visual in your mind of what Sojourner Truth looks like before I continue. So there she is. There's a photograph of Sojourner Truth. Okay, that's the visual. You're going to hear my voice, but that's the visual you have. With that, the former slave had heard enough. She rose slowly to her stately height of 6 feet. That's about 4 inches taller than me. Yeah, she's a tall woman, 6 feet tall. So that's very tall for a woman, particularly at that time. That's very tall and powerful for a woman. And she walked to the pulpit. So who's been in the pulpit before her?
The men.
The men, specifically,
Ministers.
probably ministers. Probably going to guess that most of them were white men. So here she comes, this 6-foot-tall African-American former slave, and she walks up there to the pulpit. The room grew quiet as everyone waited for her to speak. The man over there says women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and over puddles. and have the best places everywhere, she began. Nobody helped me into carriages or over puddles, or gives me the best place. Her voice rose to a thunderous pitch. And ain't I a woman? Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. I have borne 13 children and seen most of them sold into slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? When she finished, people applauded. Some cried. One witness said, "She has taken us up in her strong arms and carried us safely." As a woman and a former slave, Sojourner Truth represented two of the great reform movements, reform to reshape America in the 1800s. Between about 1820 and 1850, American reformers devoted themselves to such causes as ending slavery, promoting women's rights, and improving education. As you will read in this chapter, women like Sojourner Truth not only participated in these movements, but emerged as powerful leaders. Wouldn't you have just given anything to be there and heard her give that speech? Yeah.